All right, and we are back. I think for the most part.
I mean, I'm here.
Hell yeah! What up, Daniel?
I'm not back. I am now new to the stream,
Welcome, Daniel.
and I'll be assisting you on commentating this one.
Much
I'm really looking
appreciated.
forward to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna start this thing. I'm gonna take like a 5 minute break, and she's all yours until I come back.
All right, that's not a problem. I can take the lead.
Yeah, I thought you could. You're pretty good at comms. I figured you could handle it.
I'm
Um,
okay. I'm
yeah,
okay.
I think you got some experience.
I've commentated a few Boogey% races in my day. Let's just say that.
Let's get this thing going.
Yeah, and the racers are going to be starting in just a moment here, maybe within the next 30 seconds or so, maybe even less. But as Seppo mentioned before the break, we got MissDesGames and Flyeaglesfly, two I think really strong runners. The first round has been it's completely random since it's a Swiss format. So the first round you kind of face whoever you get, and you might have a big difference in PBs, and that might be scary. But both these runners, both sub 110 runners, MissDes with a 103.55, and Flyeaglesfly has a 108, and I should get the exact time since I got Dez's exact time. Let's be fair. A 108.45. So about almost exactly a 5 minute difference between both these runners. But Dez obviously with the advantage, and Dez has been really doing a lot of Boogey% grinding just in general, even before the tournament was even announced again and stuff like that. Dez really wanted to get her time down, and is also doing a lot of glitchless runs nowadays. So Dez maybe has the sort of the warm up advantage as well. In the beginning of the game here, there's not a lot that your experience and advantage can really do much for you. It's just walking around, hitting some storage triggers. Maybe you equip a bat. Maybe the menuing speed slightly differs, but we'll really see the time loss once the area starts having spawns. Let me just fix my mic there. So both runners, I noticed at last race, Irving equipping the cracked bat late. I guess technically it might save frames due to the fact that Tracy wouldn't be in there. But the first thing we have to do is we gotta talk to Pokey at the top of this hill. Pokey's got some stuff to say, most of it useless. Actually, the entirety of it is useless. But it's the main story trigger we have to hit before we can really get things rolling. Des getting caught here in a couple cops and stuff like that. It looks like Des has a bigger advantage just since the timers are quite not synced. We have about a 5 second difference between the runners in terms of when the timer has going. So you got to keep that in mind when we are discussing anyone who has a lead. But it'll become really apparent once we turn the spawns on. Pokey is useless. Not a fan of Pokey. I would find it difficult to find Pokey fans out there, but there must be Pokey fans for sure. Especially with Pokey's heavy involvement in Mother 3. There must be somebody who's like, yeah, Pokey's dope. So I'm gonna be really curious to see kind of the difference in strats we might see. I think one of the most notable things about Hunter versus Irving is the strat differences between the two runners. Irving obviously felt like they needed to catch up a lot of time, went for a lot riskier strats, which unfortunately didn't pay off. So I wonder if Dez feels like because they have maybe the quote-unquote advantage, they might play a little bit safer coming into the race. But the nice part about Boogey%, and we've already seen this happen in the tournament, is that whatever advantage you have, however humongous you think it is, you might think you're definitely going to win. Earthbound has a lot to say, and you gotta let it speak, because sometimes it just does not want to let you win, does not want to let you finish. So the difference between runners here, you know, advantage, no advantage, the RNG is gonna it will swing things back and forth. This is anybody's race. Both these runners very strong in my opinion. So I would expect at the very least at the start of the run we might see some safer strats, and then depending on if runners are paying attention to the, you know, the stream and stuff like that, because as we mentioned, you can watch the restream, you can kind of check in on your opponent. You know, we saw Irving try and go for riskier strats that would save time, and in Onet it paid off big. I think it closed a pretty big gap in Onet. Unfortunately, it just didn't pay off in a PRV. Now Dez, unfortunately, coming out getting 2 crows, she handled them masterfully, but the snake kind of came out of nowhere, and unfortunately, Snake got so much distance. The stutter was just very, very difficult. Snake fight on the hill is not a great fight in my opinion. The snake can do 2 things: hit you or make your turn not go, because it'll solidify you and then you just don't get the hit. But MissDes now, as a result, she's going to get to level 3 off of Starman, which helps make the Pogapunk a little bit easier. We see Flyeaglesfly, unfortunately, getting red swirled by a crow. Crow, probably the second worst fight. Crows have 77 speed, and Dez getting into a dogfight as well. So we're having both these runners going to be level 3 coming out of Starman, first of all. Cool. So the Pogapunk is going to be roughly equal, but Dez getting into 2 fights. And while the dog is the best fight you can take, you definitely just don't want a fight. And so they haven't even gotten around this little bend here, and Dez unfortunately still has this spawn to contend with. That dog is not something she can just walk by. And so Flyeaglesfly has a bit of an advantage here. Going to walk up above and then avoid this crow. Very, very nice. Dez using the crow's kind of weird, awkward movement to her advantage, getting around it. But Flyeaglesfly at the beginning here, definitely with the clear better hill between the two. Their health, unfortunately, is going to be a concern. You know, every hit you take before Pogapunk, it might mean that you really need to, you might have to heal even before the Pogapunk, and your resources are limited. The only real saving grace is if you find a butterfly on the way down, then you can heal with a life up, get the butterfly. You lose about maybe like 10 seconds or so, but at the very least, you're at full health at level 3, which makes that Pogapunk basically guaranteed. It would be very difficult to die to the Pogapunk at that point. You would have to, Ness would have to miss a lot, which can happen, but it would be unlikely, I would say. And we see Dez here using a little task trick, so to speak. Moving Ness up above there, getting Pokey closer to the meteorite. Buzz does not start talking until Buzz reaches Pokey's head. So the closer you can get Pokey to the meteorite, the faster Buzz will start speaking. Because Buzz is quite slow when he emerges from the meteorite. And I expect both runners to be picking up this bread roll on the way down. I think, you know, there was talk of maybe potentially skipping it for some runners, which is definitely a strat you can do, but it's risky for sure. And in a race, I wouldn't recommend it. Unlikely, you say? Well, full health at level 3 is unlikely, in my opinion. I just think, well, I guess it depends on the offense you get. If you get 2 offense, it'd be crazy. But 1 offense, yeah, maybe it's less likely. But the extra level, your chance to get extra offense with that level is so high that you might be able to just 2-run the Pogapunk. So while Flyeaglesfly has an advantage here, this Starman could equalize things for Dez. And realistically, they're not that far away from each other. So we're looking for Starman to guard or freeze. But if Starman guards on a turn that Buzz hits, you want Buzz to get this charged forward attack, because guarding obviously ups Starman's defense. And between the 2 attacks Buzz has, he has a regular attack and a charge forward attack. The regular attack is affected by the Starman guard ability. So you see a guard from Flyeaglesfly, and in charge forward, that's a 2 cycle, which is the best you can get. I didn't see what Buzz Buzz hit for on the first round for Dez, and unfortunately, here we see exactly what I was talking about. Starman is going to guard, and Buzz Buzz hit for about 30, as opposed to 60 to 70, which is what he'll normally hit for. So Flyeaglesfly getting a 2-cycle, Dez guaranteed to at least have a 3-cycle, but it could be even worse depending on that first turn. Unfortunately, I missed it. And you know what? Now's a great time for this advertisement to get in the way of this Starman. You know, if you're wondering what the result of Dez's Starman is, you're going to have to look at this Bumblebee instead. Because that is clearly very much more important. I would assume a 3-cycle. So Flyeaglesfly has a nice little bit of a lead here, and you know what? That advertisement was just fantastic. So I'm hooked. I'm sold. You got me in your clutches, and I'm willing to buy whatever it is just so we can get back to the action.
Timing was just too perfect.
It was too perfect. We were about to see the end of the fight, and then like a frog just appeared on the screen.
Thanks, Twitch.
If you want to buy him a sub, Temple is the restreamer, and I'll say that because I'm down for Temple and Dez to both benefit.
There we go.
Yeah, we're back. Buzz Buzz just started talking for Dez, and Flyeaglesfly now just finishing it. So I would say 15 to 20-ish seconds. What you've missed so far, Temple, I don't know if you were watching while you stepped away.
A little bit.
Both of them got into fights on the hill, so they're gonna be level 3 going into Pogopunk. Dez unfortunately took 2 fights, a snake and a dog, so I worried about her health coming into the show.
Fair enough.
So it'd be interesting to see, you know, if she just eats a bread roll right out the gate and then goes into it, which might be a strat.
Yeah, she heals preemptively. Looks like she's looking at it too, like, oh, what do I do here? Yeah, dang, especially with that first Pogopunk fight, like you don't really want to mess around with that.
No, the first Pogopunk is definitely like the biggest barrier. The second Pogopunk, as long as you're coming into it with like 23 to 24 HP, your offense is high enough that you should be getting through it.
Yeah.
But you know, as Peen Train had said in the chat, I called it unlikely to die to Pogopunk at level 3 with full HP if they were to find a butterfly, let's say. But Earthbound, you know, Ness can just keep missing, and we've both experienced that.
Oh yeah, it definitely happened. All right, high-fiving in the drugstore.
Yeah, it seems like basically the difference between the two runners is like one room's difference in terms of like walking into a building, so to speak. By the time Eagles is done with a building, Dez is walking into the building. At least for these very short ones. Flyeaglesfly actually taking a riskier route down to the Pogopunk. You can guarantee that nothing spawns in the way by taking a particular route, but it doesn't lose too much time to go for this, and maybe you might hit the time save. You see Dez doing the movement here.
Yep, another one of those movements that guarantees a despawn.
And that the guarantees at the very least that you can get to this Pogopunk and fight them before another spawn gets you.
Fruit juice, that makes sense.
Yeah, fruit juice, 31 HP. That is a comfortable amount. 18, yeah. Which this should kill him on the next hit, unless it's a 15. They have like 35 HP, I think, like exactly.
Yeah, and like you've got the levels at least, so it's like you know you're doing the damage.
And both of them eating the bread roll after that first Pogopunk. Dez not at full HP. They're gonna have to life up even, unless we see a bag of fries drop. I believe that's 1 in 32 though.
Yeah, I can't say for sure. You don't see that too often. Ooh, nice smash. Always helpful. I don't know if that was particularly helpful, but
I mean, it gets you through the fight faster, guaranteed. Like, it's definitely helpful in that regard. So
right.
It's some time gain there. The difference between these two runners right now is not much.
Yeah, the timers aren't quite even, so yeah, in real time they're probably pretty close. 1 in 32 confirmed by chat. Nice.
Nice. Yeah. Flyeaglesfly using a burger before Frank. In general, I think the life up is a better choice.
Seems to be the
That way you
consensus.
save burgers for Titanic Ant. Because you usually have enough life ups to really get through Frank, and then worst case Frank is mean enough you have to start dipping into burgers.
Yeah, you don't really want to buy more burgers, ideally.
Yeah, it's more money, more time. So
yeah, yeah, those burgers are guaranteed drops from those sharks. Nice,
they're
sub
really
14.
close now. Yeah, they're really close together now. Even with the sort of timer differential of in terms of the streamer delay that Twitch just loves to add.
I think by the timers they're almost exactly even.
Well, Flyeaglesfly's timer is a little bit ahead, and they are ahead, so they definitely still have the advantage right now. But us, the slug grind is can very quickly just eat into this lead, so they're roughly equal. And actually, Dez now pulling ahead.
Looks like by the timers, yeah, I think
it's like about even actually.
Yeah,
now it's like actually even.
It was like 1432 to 1433, so yeah, pretty much dead even going into the slug grind.
I would expect both of them to heal on Frank here. Pretty much the only way you'd skip a Frank heal here is if you had like 10 psychic points coming out of Frankenstein. And 5 if you really want to play it frisky. But both getting the heal here just to make sure they have full psychic points coming into the slug grind, just to make sure there's no funny business.
Sometimes you do see people, if their Frank and Frank tank fight went real smooth and they got a bunch of psychic points left over, you won't take the heal, but 9 times out of 10 you're taking it.
Yeah, at 10 psychic points I'm skipping the heal for sure. But that's a personal decision. Not every runner feels that way. There's runners who will do something every single time regardless of like what position they're in, just because they want the added safety, because they know Earthbound can be so cruel that 9 times out of 10 the situation you'll probably live, but Earthbound is so mean, so you just gotta be safe sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Definitely intended. All right.
So I expect both runners to buy burgers, especially because Onet has not gone so like horribly that any one of them might feel like they have such a big disadvantage.
Our Eagles didn't go for the ATM.
Yeah, so they have enough for one burger.
One burger.
So they're going for the I got one burger. This is essentially burgerless actually because they spent a burger.
Yeah, pretty much in the same position Irvin was like last race.
Yeah, so Flyeaglesfly may be feeling like they got to pull this out to maybe get the win. It's hard to say. We saw Irving with that ant fight that Irving had was fantastic. So not out of the question for Flyeaglesfly here.
People just throwing down burgerless like it's nothing. All right.
I think it used to be a much scarier proposition.
Yeah.
But more runners are becoming open to skipping burgers. I was considering skipping burgers in the tournament. Then all of my practice runs, Ant has murdered me. So I'm like, I'm getting burgers. I'm getting burgers in whatever race I'm in.
All it takes, Ant just destroying you over and over.
He's destroyed me in like three to four runs straight, and like not even close. Like I wasn't even close to killing him. So I was like, that's a sign. I gotta buy burgers for this dude.
Typical of Ant.
Yeah, but both of these runners here are going to be trying to farm 22 slugs here. They find a pack pretty quick between the both of them. And I expect both runners to be using this nice little despawn strat that's developed over the years of trying to get closer to this left side and getting a mouse stuck on the little cliff face.
I feel like this is almost standard at this point. If anyone who knows about it just does it.
Yeah, the idea here is that you want a mouse to spawn, or just slugs. Like in this, either you just get slugs or you get a mouse to spawn. Excuse me. And when you walk back and forth, because there's already some enemies on screen, the slugs create a lot more lag. So it's a lot easier to tell when slugs have spawned, and you have to walk less distance for the despawn. You just feel for the lag instead of necessarily visually confirming for a slug pack.
And those the mice and the slugs share spawn tiles there, so the idea is there's already a mouse there. It's not going to spawn another one. It's just going to spawn more slugs since they share the tiles.
I see Des, not actually getting the mouse, but just getting slugs. And
Still just getting slugs.
Flyeaglesfly thought they were home free to get these slugs, but this mouse wants to get involved.
Maybe some lag from upstairs that slowed him down a bit here.
That kind of works out for Flyeaglesfly though. They actually had 7 slugs killed because they found a 3-pack randomly. So the mouse kind of corrects that, and now they're fighting their 4-pack to get to 12 kill total, which I believe both runners are at currently now, with Des with a slight lead.
Yeah, and you'll see that some people even intentionally sometimes will take that mouse fight because they're at some odd number and they want to just even it out. The mouse fight, like, not super dangerous. They can crit for like 15, and that's pretty common, but usually you have enough HP. It's not a huge deal.
Yeah. The gimmick about mice is that they have super high guts value, which is what determines whether or not you crit. So either they hit for 1, which is not a lot, or they crit you. And yeah, like Temple said, they can hit for about up to 15 to 16.
A lot of those little gimmicks. Beginning of the run here, the crows with the massive speed and these stats.
Just like 3 less than the final boss of the game. No big deal.
Yeah, it's just a number. Yeah, these mice with just huge guts. It's like, all right, sure.
Yeah, Taxluck saying in chat, Antoids are the ones that are spooky. Antoids are an unfortunate fight because they hit pretty hard, they can call for help, and they can heal themselves. And it's barely more experience than a slug.
I feel like if you're taking an ant fight, it's just a massive risk. Whether it's by accident or whatever, like, it's just probably gonna die or barely make it out.
Yeah, sometimes you do it. The idea is a lot of runners do is they get 16 slug kills on the bottom floor, and then they get a 6-pack, which can only spawn at the top floor to even out the exact 22. But you can find slug packs on the 2nd floor, but those are guaranteed they could be a maximum of 4. So then all of a sudden you have to find 2 slugs. So sometimes people will take the slug and Antoid fight, which is the other thing that can spawn on the top floor, and risk it for that. But that can get out of hand pretty quick. And we see Des here in a really bad fight, trying to run away now, and thankfully does.
It's the best bet at that point. Just get out of there.
And there's that mouse critting, twice in a row on Flyeaglesfly's screen right there. That's the guts playing their part.
Yeah, to your point about oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Des looking for stuff on the 2nd floor. I wonder what the game plan here is, but those are slugs for sure.
Yeah, 4-pack. Yeah, that's kind of what I was about to say. Is that's one of those things. You go from a beginner to kind of an intermediate runner. Is you got to learn what these, how these packs spawn in the cave, and how to be able to differentiate from ants from slugs because they share the same sprite. So it's like, it's one of those things you kind of pick up after doing a lot of runs.
Yeah, absolutely. Des here with 23 offense. I saw the smash, and I'm able to calculate their offense from that. So nice. Des checking there. Yeah, if you ever want to know what your offense is and you're able to do quick math on the fly. Slugs have 2 defense, and the math for a crit is your offense times 4 minus the enemy's defense. So when you crit for 78, it means you have 20 offense.
That's the kind of 5-head on the fly math I definitely can't do.
Right. The other method is to try and track your offense just right from the get-go.
Right, yeah, I've definitely done that. It's like, just count it as it goes.
Mm-hmm. Every time you see your offense level up, you just kind of keep track in your head. I have, because you start with about, when you buy a T-ball bat, you have like 11. most of the time anyway. And you just kind of keep track from there.
All right, Eagles taking on Titanic Ant. It's going decently so far.
Yeah, I mean they have the psychic points for life up here. Unfortunately, they keep missing, and this is a scary situation here.
Yeah,
They cannot take this hit, which is the shield is greatly appreciated
big
for
save.
Flyeaglesfly.
Yeah.
Definitely, if the ant had hit, they would have died.
Yep. Ant rips are no bueno.
The shield is going to slow down this fight considerably, but as we mentioned, if it's just kind of re-upping the shield, it's slow, but it's at the very least not hitting you.
Dez catching up a little bit here.
Yeah, and a crit automatically kills the shield, but still not enough to vanquish the ant here. Maybe one more hit might do it. It was. All right, so paying off for Flyeaglesfly here. And let's see how Dez's ant fight goes.
About a 24-20 kill for Flyeaglesfly. Ooh, crit.
Ooh, the crit is bad. You got to menu fast for this, and also the
Okay.
magnet now at 2 second points. Another close call.
Big save. And Dez definitely one of those runners that can just crank out those menus. She's really experienced. I'm sure you've mentioned her skill level and definitely capable of getting those heals off. Nice, good fight.
Yeah, good fight from both of them. Dez here with a slight disadvantage, but you know it's about 30 seconds or so, I would say, maybe 40. That
Going
can
in
go
the
away
cops.
in a heartbeat.
Yeah, won't take much.
And Dez with the hamburger advantage coming into cops as well. Flyeaglesfly, I think, has maybe 2 burgers and a random cookie that they might still have.
And that cookie can be dangerous. Sometimes you just, muscle memory menus and end up eating a cookie when you shouldn't.
Yeah, that's happened to me before. That's why my general, like, if I get a cookie, if I take a crow fight, in a race or something like that, that cookie is one of the first things to go. I mean, I save it for like the Pogo Punk fight maybe or something, or
Yeah.
after it, but I got to get rid of that because there's times where I've used it in a fight. It's also why I don't pick up the skip sandwich before a Carpainter.
Interesting.
In Boogey% because I might use the skip sandwich instead, and maybe that's not enough. And also, it's kind of wasted there, moving fast after Carpainter, because fun fact, you can use a skip sandwich in battle, and then when the battle is over, you'll be real fast.
Yeah, you zoom in afterwards.
Yeah. All right, so Flyeaglesfly taking the safety now. So actually, they save time going into Ant, but they're kind of losing a little bit of time coming back.
Yep. Yeah, this will be a bit of a time loss. Some room for Dez to catch up. Gotta go through all those door transitions, ATM, a lot of text.
Yeah. The way to mitigate this is to keep your menuing tight. And they're doing a good job. The hamburger is on the bottom slot. You just got to hit up once. But Des here, depending on the time here, they might be just in sync. So,
yep.
All of a sudden, it's kind of an equal game here.
That's all it takes. Buying burgers or not buying burgers. Even game.
Yeah, I imagine if Ant went a little bit better for a Flyeaglesfly, which it would have to have gone like exceptionally well. Because it's very rare to not have to use at least 1 or 2 burgers on Ant.
Yeah, and his fight wasn't too great. A lot
it was
of bad
good
luck.
Enough. I mean,
yeah,
they didn't die, which is the biggest time loss you can get. With a lot of shields, which slows it down a lot and stuff like that. So
just kind of bad RNG and slow because of that bad RNG. Nice 2 seconds.
Hunter in chat saying it's about 2 second difference between the runners here.
Love it.
So that's getting some nice misses and some outspeeds on these cops here. Unfortunately, Flyeaglesfly has to heal on this first turn. And oh, what do you know? It's a Schwab starter kit. Let's go. I'm so hyped for the Schwab starter kit. All right, well, let's focus on Flyeaglesfly's cop fights here. So I mean, their cop fight is going well. They bought the burgers beforehand, so they're well prepared. In general, you want to use a burger around if you have a little bit less than 55 HP, but if you're under like 35 ish, you use a life up. 40 is close enough that using a life up is good, but unfortunately, the outspeed from Ness sometimes outspeeds are great, but on the cop fight is usually not great when you're trying to heal on the second turn, so you get all that health back.
It's crushing shot missing. Always welcome.
It's like affecting the timer as well. I think they're back because the timer is
Yep.
back for them as well.
Go.
Oh, did they heal? Oh, they got the heal off 22. So we came back to a real tense moment from Dead's screen. They had 22 HP, which actually is not easy to mash out to survive. You have to mash out, I think, a 22 for Manip quite often. And Des does run Manip glitchless. So it's something she's familiar with.
Definitely got the
But
skill set.
yeah, it looks like the cop fights maybe didn't go nearly that great for Des because they're looking pretty equal here. They're both on the fourth cop. Des
Always.
had a slight advantage from that first cop going better, but it looks like the Schwab starter kit got rid of the information on how the second and third went. Maybe it didn't go nearly as well.
Oh wow, that clutch save from Eagles. Literally zero health. Oh
Another
jeez,
crit.
brutal.
Okay,
26
so
is all right though.
26 is all right. I think they have one burger. Oh, they got a burger drop. That's 1 in 16.
Oh,
So I would expect a burger use on the first turn. As long as strong doesn't hit you, you can comfortably go for the double rockin'. Oh, they have two burgers. Okay, so that they'll be at about 50-ish HP, 48. Use another burger. I agree, and then a double rockin'. I think they should be good.
ooh, missed the grapple. Nice.
Oh
Oh,
no, but the rockin' missed.
jeez.
This is actually really
Fortunate.
scary. So it's going to be an auto fight territory from here on. 87. Captain Strong has 140 HP. So it's about 2 more turns and a crit from Captain Strong. Is that going to be?
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
no.
Super unlucky.
Yeah, it's very very unlucky when the first rocket misses like that. When you make the decision, you have to make the decision: am I rocketing or am I saving these for heals now? And the rocking I think would have worked in like 95% of scenarios, except for Captain Strong critting you. That's like the one exception to the situations that you could survive. And
Right,
just
yeah.
some unfortunate luck there.
Rock and miss and a crit. Like, jeez. And one hit away. Yeah, that's brutal. And again, a big downside to Captain Strong Death is all those burgers are gone.
Yeah, burgers are gone. You gotta watch this stupid guy fly down from the top of the screen and take your photo, and you gotta consider: am I buying more burgers? Or am I just going straight back? And also, the experience you get from fighting 4 cops is kind of inconsequential. So you just wasted time fighting all the 4 cops. At least if you died to like the cops earlier, you obviously lose a lot less time. But unfortunately, it completely resets the scenario. Flyeaglesfly is gonna have to fight every single cop from the beginning again. So you
Another
have to
huge
fight 4 cops
downside.
and then strong again. So it's like the biggest time loss you can get in a net by like a lot. It's like a 3 to 4 minute time loss.
Again, he was so close. Like one more, just had one more opportunity to hit, would have been over.
Yep.
He's Earthbound, I guess.
Yeah, we were talking. I was mentioning that, like, the difference between these runners in terms of FPBs is about 5 minutes, but that's nothing when it comes to Earthbound. Earthbound can equalize that instantly, and unfortunately for Fly, they have the disadvantage here, and Earthbound is being especially mean to them on top of that.
Double whammy.
So, while they're not out of the race yet, this isn't like all right, well, Dez wins. Like, Dez has to get some bad luck moving forward for Fly to really have a hope of winning this race now. Which
They're
can
definitely,
happen. Unfortunately,
yeah.
Peaceful Rest Valley and Carpenter, we saw already in the race, Octopascal had a just real unfortunate card painter that lost them a lot of time. Card painter, another death that really loses you a lot of time.
Huge time loss. Yeah, you gotta walk all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, hopefully no commentators curse. But yeah, that is like I think the only if Eagles was gonna get any opportunity, it would be a Carpenter death. Is probably the only thing left that would do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that's such a huge hit.
You see Dez here opening and closing the menu like that. That menu that Dez is opening, it advances RNG by every frame. So sometimes runners do that just because they want to shuffle the RNG because maybe they think they're in a string of bad RNG. There's no proof that really that Earthbound necessarily strings bad RNG quote unquote together like that, but for, we all have our rituals, I would
Yeah,
say.
it's definitely one of those
And
things.
it's just one of those things that you see runners do, and it's really interesting to see like the different things that runners do that are like maybe this loses time because technically it does lose time. You're opening and closing a menu. You're losing time doing that, but it's always fun to see what people think is like, oh, this will work. This will help me get the good
Yeah.
RNG
It's
now.
like the spawn was gone. Like I hit BB and there's no spawn.
And
Like it
yeah,
worked.
so yeah, you can't tell me it doesn't work
All
because that
right,
guy
yeah,
was not there anymore.
it's one of those head game quantum state things. Like was the cat in the box or not? I don't know. But yeah, I know Andy was always like that was always a pet peeve of his. He's like, why do people roll the RNG like that? It's pointless. And it's like, it's just
I'm kind of in the same camp. The only time I think you pause like that is in places like this is part of the glitchless run more than anything. There's like fire springs. You walk into a door, you want to assess the room, but you don't want the spawns to move.
yeah.
So you open the menu so you have chance to really look at it and make a decision.
Give yourself a little time to read the room.
Exactly. See, Flyeaglesfly going through cops again, getting crit, but they had already queued up a heal. So while it was unfortunate, at the very least, they're not going to die from that.
Queued up heals. Gotta love them. Nice
Yeah,
smash.
crit them back. Let them know. Let them know who's the real boss. You crit me, I crit you.
Fight over. Yeah, it can be kind of a frustration thing for people. I could see that.
Absolutely.
All right, rocking one. No missy.
All right, it's about average damage, but that's what you want. The average damage for a rockin' is hits in a bell curve and can do 40 to 120, or miss entirely, which is what we saw in that first attempt. Um, so the most common damage you'll see from rockin' is kind of in the 70 to 80 range, which is perfect for strong because strong has 140 HP. So as long as both hit for 70, you're good. And that we saw that the second go around Earthbound, we mentioned it, or at least you mentioned it. With Irving getting the couple life needles, they died in that first attempt, but the second attempt, it was just like, I'm sorry, here you go, it's free.
This is what should have happened the first time.
I didn't mean to be so mean. I just, I thought maybe it'd be funny.
Friggin' Earthbound.
Yeah. It's the thing that is endearing about it's a thing that's endearing about the run, but it's also a thing that I think has driven a lot of people from running it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, some people are just not down with that shit. They're just like, yeah, I don't want to do this game. And I get it. Oh, jeez. Looks like Eagles.
This is a bad fight.
Yeah.
Rockin' is a real good answer to it. It can't necessarily guarantee. Well, that's definitely not going to kill him. 43 is significantly less than the amount of HP that a Rambling Evil Mushroom has, but no mushroomization here, which is kind of nice. Mushroomization, on top of making Ness confused in battle, also will start rotating your controls. I don't know the exact timer. I'm sure if we asked JT Omar about it, we'd be able to get a more definitive answer. But what it does is, up is up and down is down normally, but eventually it'll start rotating your controls where that right is up and left is down and so on and so forth, and it'll keep doing that. It becomes very difficult, especially when you're trying to walk through Peaceful Rest Valley, an area that is very precise, and you need to react quickly.
It's always fun. You kind of physically, at least I do, just roll your controller around each time, just flip it around, and easy fix D-pad.
Yeah, you can. So when it does change, you can rotate your controller 90 degrees clockwise, I believe.
Yeah,
And then you can just do it like that, and you'll be able to move around normally. But then when it switches again, you'll have to rotate it again, which means you'll be holding the controller upside down, and then it'll keep doing that for as long as you have the mushroom on your head. But thankfully, the game pays you if you have this status there.
Yeah, $50, take it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's huge and like rando. Like you see that you have a mushroom on your head forever, and it's like, oh, the mushroom girl's sick. Like $50 and it's gone. Like I guess it works out in glitchless a decent amount too.
Yeah, there's some meme categories where it's like, oh, you gotta buy the house in Onet, but not use an ATM card ever. So there's people who have come up with mushroom strats where they get mushroom eyes and then sell it to the dude
Oh
to
yeah,
get money.
it's good money. Selling mushrooms.
And we see Flyeaglesfly saving in the bus station, which means we're going to see a repeat of the Vulgar strat of picking up the life noodles here in Peaceful Rest Valley.
People making Vogler proud these years.
I mean, it's something that there's a couple runners who have always really represented it. RBM is probably the one that comes to mind the most. Probably they would go for, even if they were massively on PB pace, would still go for it. Like, I think they just do it every time, pretty much. It's one of the things for me personally. It depends on if I feel I'm behind or not. If I need to make up time, I go for it.
It's one of those things, high risk, high reward. If you're behind, you got to do something.
Des here at the Shack fight. We were talking about Cultist G and the Invincible Crow earlier, but this is looking like, unfortunately, we got one call for help. The extra XP actually might come in handy because it might help prevent. There's a particular, I forget what level number it is specifically, but you will always get at least this. Like, your HP will always end up having a max of this much, which would be, I think, is around 120. And if you didn't get the HP boost before then, it'll happen on that level instead. So you kind of want to avoid that for Carpenter because, you know, there's so many times people have finished Carpenter and before the level ups they're sitting at 6 HP and then they get 3 vitality and they get like 48 HP on from the level up, and all of a sudden so the death warp is a 2-hit mole situation as opposed to the much better 1-hit that they had set up prior.
Yeah, you've gone from like great setup to not great pretty quickly.
Yeah, kind of mediocre and potentially gonna bleed a lot of time. That mole can, even if you have, honestly, even if you have the perfect amount of HP, that mole can just never hit you because it also has a pretty big chance to miss too. Like, it's not very accurate.
Blind as a mole. Alright, heading into Carpenter.
Yeah, Des really gonna kind of hope for. It's a double-edged sword here because you want Carpenter to kill himself quickly here, but Des has about 75 HP right now, and I don't think they got the big level up I was talking about.
I didn't see a big level up there with HP.
Yeah, exactly. So, in this situation, I think you'd probably want Carpenter to kill himself on the second lightning turn. More than anything, we're gonna see probably a rockin' here.
Rockin', yeah.
Yeah, 15 psychic points. You have a life up available to you, just as long as you. Oh, and the miss, which, you know, could work out. The reflect here. Oh, nice. They're dead. Okay, so Carpenter went down quick. Unfortunately, Des did not want Carpenter to miss there above all else.
True. Okay, yeah.
So they did get the level up prior. So it does end up working out. So they have just about 78 HP. Not great, as we mentioned. We mentioned that 40 to 50 HP, to 40 to 55 was like mediocre. This is a little bit above that, but it can still work out great. That mole can hit anywhere from about 30 to 60 on this. So if you get a high damage roll from the mole, it might not matter that much.
Thanks for that raid, Lord Taco. Much appreciated.
Unfortunately for Flyeaglesfly, that's, you know, Des getting through Carpainter so cleanly, and that was a really clean segment, to be honest. Maybe before the pencil eraser got erased, they had, you know, a lot of spawns in those caves, which you can't really do anything about. You're at the mercy of the game at that point. But that Peaceful Rest Valley was really good, and so was this Happy Happy Village. So Des on a pretty good pace here. You know, not PB pace or anything like that, but a nice pace, sub 110 pace for sure.
You don't gotta PB every race. You just gotta win.
Yeah, it's so hard to PB in Boogie percent.
Yeah.
Nowadays, depending on your time.
Yeah, people have really driven it down.
Yeah, you know, I mentioned at the beginning, Des has a 103.55, which is getting a 103 is very, very difficult to do. You need a lot of luck to line up on top of playing particularly well. And, you know, about a 30-minute on net, that kind of already, you know, makes it extremely, extremely difficult to get a time like a 103. You need a very, very, like, everything just kind of going your way. Everything's
Yeah.
coming up Millhouse type of run, you know what I mean?
Yeah, everything's gotta go your way. All the stars have to align for those sub 105s.
For sure. All right, Flyeaglesfly having kind of a rough PRV. Which is, you know, unfortunately standard for PRV. It's not a nice place. You see a lot of trees over there. Gonna have to despawn them, and they have to pick up the life noodles because remember they saved in the bus station.
Vogler.
So, you know, it's already looking like real spooky, and then they got to get to the life noodles and back, because getting to the life noodles, sometimes you get there and you're like, wow, it's so free. And I'm scared to comment on. I'm scared of commentators curse it, but like
say anything about it.
I have to talk about it. So this tree here is not a problem. Those sprouts have a pretty low aggro range, and honestly, I think they'll be despawned by walking this far down.
Yeah.
Walking back up is the scary part. And honestly, they had a pretty, you know, a couple despawns, but that is really nice for the life.
Yeah, it was clean, for sure. That worked
And
out nicely.
Des had a death warp. They're dead, so, you know, we mentioned 70-something HP being not ideal, but this still worked out great for them.
Yeah.
They're just still on a really solid pace.
RNG from that mall. But yeah, in terms of the fruit stand and jeez.
Oh no! Betrayed by Flyeaglesfly?
No. But yeah, you see people use that stand decent amount. Even in the last race, I think both racers were getting some eggs. Oh, that was a quick ad.
That's a crazy quick ad. I didn't know ads could be that short.
Me either. Take it.
Yeah, so while Dez has to do some story triggers here, you know, talk to some people, watch a Runaway 5 show, Flyeaglesfly is coming here. They're going to get the Franken badge here from Paula and then get into the shack fight. You want the shack fight to go well. Ideally, I think you want to take about one hit if you're really lucky. Because with one hit, I think you can not heal coming into the other cultist fight and be pretty safe. And it might help you set up for the death warp really well, depending on, you know, what you might end up with your HP wise. But unfortunately, these cultists, they like to call for backup and just can get out of hand really quickly. Doesn't have. Well, it's a good time for an ad at the very least.
Yeah,
like they're just
gonna happen anywhere.
Yeah,
pretty slow times there. Tucson, not much going on.
Actually, I've never really seen an outspeed on those cultists before.
That doesn't happen too often.
That's crazy.
Sometimes you just hit that low percent chance.
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely happen. You know, the game does do a variable roll based on your speed. It's not just like, oh, they have 10 speed and you have 5. They'll always go first. Like sometimes they can roll low and you can roll high. And you definitely don't want to get into a cultist fight in this cave or anywhere. Y'all mentioned it before, but cultist fights are unrunnable because of that shack fight. You can't run away from that shack fight in any way, shape, or form. And that flag kind of stays for all the cultists that are even randomly spawned as well. So you can be in a battle for over 20 turns, which should guarantee you a runaway from most enemies. But not against the cultists. It's just literally not
Those
possible.
guys. Yep.
They built different. All right.
Switch over audio.
both of them missing each other on the first turn.
Start this one over.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the calls for help is not what you want to see. Probably going to see a Rockin' here. Yeah, you usually want the Rockin' for Carpainter, just because it helps you get some extra damage in before he puts that Psychic Shield up, and you don't necessarily know how many reflects you're going to get. But the moment that dude calls for help, you can't risk it anymore.
Oh wow, Red swirled by a cranky lady. Definitely missed that one.
Red swirled by a cranky lady.
Yeah, that left side door that was posted pretty recently. Oxwus, he's been posting all these like nice little tidbits lately. I'm just like, oh, you can just do this at this part and it's faster. Yeah, that's one of those things he posted recently. I was like, oh, you can just left side. It's a little faster.
Yeah, the photo trigger right in front of the door. Thankfully, it doesn't span like the whole sidewalk there. It's basically like just directly in front of the door, so you can squeak into the left side there, and it saves about quarter to half a second or so, just on optimal movement. Which you got to take what you can get, and honestly, a really nice Carpainter for Flyeaglesfly72. Both runners have just a very, very nice Carpainter. Oh, Des pointing out in chat, in the middle of her own race, Paula has levels now, which actually does change the boogie tent fight coming up, because they might have fire now, and fire is you can do a freeze on boogie tent, but he's resistant to freeze. He'll take about 4 to 6 damage. But fire does about like 70 to 80 damage. It's actually substantial. So if the big bottle rocket on Boogie Tent doesn't hit very high, that fire damage might be the difference.
It's right side bus.
And right side bus, the faster of the two buses. So that's why you see certain runners do it. I have no strong opinions about left bus while on commentary. But if you caught me in a chat, maybe you'd hear something different.
Different.
Yeah. But while on commentary, we're all friends.
Yeah.
It makes it sound like if I'm in a chat, like I'm your enemy.
Catch me in chat, it's a different story.
Yeah, catch me in the chat, you catching these hands, dog.
If Daniel's a moderator, you're getting banned. That's just gonna happen.
Actually, nowadays I'm not nearly as.
Oh, okay.
I'm not nearly as aggressive, just because I know it kills. Sometimes it kills the vibe, and I'm not. I think that's it's more important to maintain this stream overall happiness than my own flippant aggression.
You're usually a pretty good sport about it.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
but not. It's over the years. There's been enough people who've been like, hey, like, it's only right. Oh no, 2 crow fights. Yeah, crows don't really run away from you here. It doesn't really help you to get into these crow fights. Obviously, you take a little bit of damage, which is nice for this death warp coming up, but the 2 damage is sort of negligible.
You can always try to death warp off of them.
Yeah, if you have the really, really low HP, you can try the crow death warp. But even like Paula doesn't take much damage from crows, so it's arguable if the time saved from crows killing you would be less time than just walking over to this mole.
Just want to see someone pull it off properly.
Yeah, we've talked about it for years at this point. It's mostly just as a joke, but
Sure, someone's done it.
what, they did it.
Oh, the fly.
Oh, the fly.
More fire strats. Oh yeah, we got it.
Yeah, with freeze here, yeah, flies definitely take a lot of damage from freeze. Most enemies do in Earthbound. For
Yeah.
some reason, the designers of the game are like, freeze is the best spell by a lot, and it's not close. But Flyeaglesfly actually had a really, really nice death orb. I think it was almost perfect considering their HP.
Some strides here, and we got the Vogler. Nice.
Yeah, you saw they took that menu a little bit slow because it's very. I have done Vogler before, and used the life noodles on Ness, and the game
Yep.
was like, "Well, that didn't do anything." And then
Nullifies
I have to,
everything.
I have to go to the hospital.
Sick time save. And heading into winters.
Yeah, winters. There's for Des, there's Brick Road and Pond Cave, which are the two big RNG sections. But they have they have a pretty big lead right now, so they gotta feel a little comfortable coming into this winter section. They can just play it safe and play it, fairly straightforward without taking too many big risks. Maybe they feel that they just have a chance of securing this win here.
There's really not too much that stands in your way. Obviously, anything could happen, and Proto's a jerk, but
Yeah, I was
good
talking
time.
about it on a different stream, but my first ever, because I started running Earthbound right around the time when you first started up this Super Series tournament,
Yep.
which was around 2015, 2016. It's
2016
been
was the first year.
yeah, it's been a while. In my first race, uh, commentated by Andy Perfect, and I think I died to Proto like 6 times, something like
Yeah, I
that.
remember that. Oh man.
And it became just sort of the meme of the tournament. Like maybe every time someone had a lead, they're like, well, maybe they'll die 6 times to
Yeah,
Proto
well,
like Daniel did.
yeah, it happens. It clearly happened. It just die
No,
7 times.
it
Yeah.
did happen. We have a little bit of like better strats now in terms of like if they call for help, you can do defend for a lot of turns and try and maybe get the runaway chance, which I don't think anyone was really doing back then. But it can still happen regardless. It doesn't matter. Protoplasm's just a jerk.
Run strat was definitely not too common back then. Kind of came along.
And we've seen it a couple times this tournament already, but runners dropping that broken spray can right there at the locker.
Yep.
They're trying to avoid a text box when they sleep in the tent right before testing, because normally Jeff will fix that broken spray can and turn it into a defense spray. But if you drop it, that doesn't happen.
One of those micro optimizations with this run. Save yourself a text box. A lot of little stuff like that in this that you might not pick up on first glance. That was I noticed back there Chad was being a real Chad at the door.
Yeah,
Like
I hate Chad.
yeah.
Chad is the name of the NPC right in front of the doorway. We're gonna see him here on Flyeaglesfly screen again when they walk towards the manager's office here. He's that blonde-haired guy right in front of the door, and sometimes he just gets in the way.
I feel like if it's a named NPC, it's probably a jerk. It's got a name for a reason.
Yeah, there's one the woman in front of the Happy cultist HQ is named Janet, and Janet can get in your way quite often. Sometimes she'll just be in the doorway. You
The
have to despawn
doorway.
her and come back. Yeah, the despawn her and come back because there's no shot she's getting out of the way.
Stuck in there forever.
So that's taking a safety here. Taking this dogfight. This dogfight guarantees you at least level 2, which gives you 1 to 2 extra HP coming into Protoplasm, and
Red roll.
Protoplasm and the bread roll drop, which is just 50%. So they have an extra healing item coming into Protoplasm, but on top of that, Protoplasm hits on average for 10. They can hit for 11, they can hit for 12. It's been, we've seen it. But in general, they can also hit for like 9 or 10. So that one extra HP might be the difference maker in surviving that Protoplasm fight.
Obviously, having that extra healing item mitigates a lot of the danger with that fight. Another somewhat lesser known NPC over here, Richard Dixon. I believe is the NPC on the way. Yeah, he can really block your way when you're trying to get past that photo trigger. Sightseer. But yeah, those photo triggers, we were talking about it earlier, the one in front of the theater, and even that photo trigger below the tent. I feel like people know about those triggers, but I feel like if you actually look at them, they're like really small. Like I think there's one in Saturn Valley right before the Sank door that we skip, and if you just like went and looked at those photo triggers, they're like pretty small, a lot smaller than one would assume.
Yeah, you're able to squeak by them, as long as you keep it tight. In terms of, at least for the photo trigger here in front of that tent, as long as you can kind of roll off the tent there, the little corner of the tent, and you should be good every time. As
Those
long as there's a
tent
situation
spikes.
where yeah. But if you were moved down about, I think it's like 2 to 3 pixels down, you can technically
Yeah,
move 1 pixel down and be okay, because I've accidentally done it before. But it's like 2 to 3 pixels down, you'll get that photo trigger.
doesn't
And then
take
getting a
much.
photo loses about 20 seconds or so.
Flies
A
for
triple
Eagles.
fly fight, which is not great. Going for auto fight strats here. The flies hurt quite a bit though, and they're fast. So thankfully, a death doesn't mean too
Yeah,
much.
not a huge deal here as long as you've got the trigger.
Exactly. Um, so what you'll see them do is just go straight to the hotel from here, because it's going to put them right at the bottom of 3 where the runaway fly left you off. And even though Paula's not alive, you don't need to revive her, because going into the 3 hotel revives her automatically.
Yeah, she just revives for some reason down in the prison.
Yeah,
Luckily.
it's very kind. It's very kind of the game, to be honest.
Yeah. Give you a res here.
Hopefully, you could technically talk to the zombie lady right before she disappears from that first screen. She doesn't have any text, so it just says no problem here. But she will turn towards you as if she's saying something.
Yeah, some people, they'll reach it. You'll see it in some runs, I'm sure, in the tourney. Will someone actually hit her and get that trigger to get her to talk? That's a decent duck setup.
Yes, you. Yeah, trying to pull the duck to the right. Technically, you could skip the duck by just
Yeah.
trying to go for it, and if the duck is just kind of faffing around, you might get it. But now Dez is trying to get the duck to move to the left and then pull it down. And
Should
now with the
work.
duck in this situation, it's very, very unlikely that you'll get into the duck fight. You can still get bad luck, and the duck might move randomly in the perfect amount of distance
Yeah.
to unstuck themselves, but worked out for Dez. Unfortunately, second proto skip, not really up to you. It's up to Bubble Monkey.
Whether or not the monkey cooperates, which it did not.
I'm going for the kill here. Okay, so getting duck skip, it does kind of change this fight a little bit.
Uh,
Normally, if you fight the duck, getting this protoplasm calling for help isn't as big a deal. But when you don't fight the duck, you actually miss out on a lot of levels and defense and stuff like that. So it changes this fight just a little bit in terms of your decision making, but Dez using the bread roll and the boiled egg for the entirety of Brick Road very, very smartly. She's able to get through it and have a decent amount of HP coming into Pond Cave, that even if she were to get into maybe like an uncomfortable slug fight, she would still be able to get out without dying from it.
that was definitely good use of those healing items to get through Brick Road situations.
And let's see how safe Des plays Pond Cave here. There's some runners who are willing to stutter everything in Pond Cave, depending on the room anyway. But other times you just despawn and you kind of want it empty just for peace of mind. here, Des. I think considering this is a very doable but not easy.
Yeah, this is one of those things that really test your stuttering abilities.
Yeah, but Des doing such a fantastic
Yeah,
job.
perfect.
And yeah, and using this present to her advantage here, she's gonna get the heal, but it also has a double use there in that, you know, even if her stutters are not up to snuff there for the end of the room because maybe a lag or something like that, which does make stuttering harder, the present will block those enemies potentially from getting to her.
Yeah, that was a big strat back in the day, early runs when people weren't that good at stuttering, and yeah, you just get yourself up to that present.
And that second room in Pond Cave, honestly, really, really
Very
clean.
smooth. Overall, pretty solid winters so far.
Yeah, absolutely. That's still on a very, very solid run here. Um, you know, this last room Pond Cave can sometimes take a little bit of time. But once you get to this ladder point, it's basically over. You just need to get the mushrooms at the top in a place where you can get them stuck on the wall and then just walk right by them.
Pretty low risk. Just get them in the right spot and take any fights. Even if they're far enough away, those mushrooms have a pretty small aggro radius.
Yeah,
It'll
so you see
work
that
too.
mushroom's really close, but there's a wall in the way. So really, really good stuff from Dez.
All right. All that stands in the way of Des winning this one is a Boogie Tent.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, Dez taking that fly fight and that cranky lady fight. Paulo having fire is actually a big deal in terms
Yeah.
of boogie tent safety. Even if Jeff were to die first turn, Ness and Paulo together could still take out Boogie Tent with good enough luck thereafter.
Yep.
So, you know, the time lost from getting Paulo levels, on top of that, actually kind of it saves some time on the level ups, quote unquote. But it just kind of moves the splits around anyway. Paula has to gain less levels at the end of Boogie Tent because she already has some extra levels. But she just has some nice added safety coming into this Boogie Tent fight. And she has the option of buying some extra bottle rockets potentially as well if she wants like the extra safety, which is a strat you definitely still see some runners doing as well.
Especially if you're far enough ahead.
This ad is perfectly timed because now Dez is in the Skyrim sequence.
Yeah, they've been decently timed.
Yeah, and you know,
Last couple.
Flyeaglesfly here we get the Tessie sequence. One of
Yeah, I
my
mean, it's
favorite, to be honest.
decent trade off for sure.
And slowly approaching is going to be the brick road for Flyeaglesfly, and we'll see how the protoplasm and stuff goes for them shortly. They really need Boogie Tent to be just the worst if they want a chance of winning this race now. At this point, it is approaching the end of the run, and Boogie Tent would have to be just the rudest dude of all time.
Ori type luck.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you would have to be Ori, because it's basically they have the worst Boogie Tent luck out of any runner still, I think, to this day.
Consistently.
Like, because it's not just a one-off. Boogie Tent is just the worst person to Ori every single time.
It's never a guarantee. From
I mean, it looks like Des has the win in the bag, but no, it can happen to Ori. It can happen to you.
Words to live by.
All right, let's see how this protoplasm goes for Flyeaglesfly. Are they gonna open the present? Nah. You can technically open the present that the protoplasm is. It just starts the fight, but the present opens, and that's cool.
It's a pretty tight little window, huh? Getting that thing open.
Yeah, it's not big. That's what you want to see in the third turn. So protoplasm hit the first two turns, and protoplasm will always outspeed you. It has like 22 speed or something like that. So you definitely love to see the sizing of the situation on that third turn there. It helps them get through the protoplasm without dying. This duck not skippable unless you were to pull him down, but Flyeaglesfly just going for it. Just saying, yeah, I don't want to waste the time to try and pull this down. It might not happen, so we're gonna fight this duck and just hope it goes quickly.
Sometimes you just gotta fight the duck.
And like I mentioned earlier, it does make the third protoplasm fight a little bit safer. You have more defense, HP, and offense, so you're able to actually two-shot the protoplasm potentially, as opposed to needing 3 turns to kill it. And with this HP, I expect him to go down and grab that croissant that is just directly below the duck here.
I think that is going for the bear. I feel like bear is one of those hit or miss things. Some years everyone skips it, some years everyone gets it. I don't know what to expect with bear.
Yeah, the bear, the way they're supposed to work is that the enemies have a 75% chance to target the bear instead of you, but sometimes that don't matter.
Yeah.
I guess it's the 25%. I guess it's 25% of the time it don't matter, but it feels like more sometimes.
Fire strats in action, 72 damage.
See what the rockin' does, 62, and this
Low.
BBR is low, but it's gonna be 1 fire away from killing here. And this rocket might do it too if it hits. Finish the fire.
Game.
And that is it for Des. Des does close out this win. There's nothing standing in her way now. Just has to mash out these last couple levels here. And it's gonna be maybe like a high 110. Yeah, Jeff is gaining the level, so still a chance for a 110, a high 110 here.
Said earlier, Paul getting those levels, big advantage here. Saves a little bit of time. That's gonna be a GG.
And GG to MissDesGames taking the win in the first round of the Swiss bracket here for the Boogey % tournament this year.
Going into the 1-0 pool.
Absolutely. And it only gets hard. It's just the thing about Swiss brackets is you win, and all of a sudden you're facing all the other 1-0 people, so you know you're facing someone good too.
You get to those 2-0s and 3-0s.
Yeah, and Flyeaglesfly in a tough situation here. Going to need to put their stuttering to the test. There's a wide enough gap in between those 2 mice, and they nail it.
Great stutters. Good stutters from both runners.
Absolutely. Picking up the burger here. A little bit too far to pick it up those first 2 times, but some added safety here, just having an extra healing item for Pond Cave, just in case you get yourself in a situation where usually it happens because you're trying to stutter and the stutter doesn't go your way and you take some extra damage. 3 slugs here should be fine with this amount of HP. And what Flyeaglesfly wants to see here is that the slugs that join this fight, that there's not a mouse attached to the left side slug that was over there. There's 2 slugs, unfortunately, and they don't want to take that. And this is the perils of taking these fights here like this. If it's a single slug fight like that, you can auto kill it, which isn't much time, but if you can't guarantee get past the that second spawn there, because this little center section of the second room has 2 spawn plates, you can't really progress guaranteed. And then there's this final spawn plate, but manages to get it empty. All right, and getting into this room can be just obnoxious. You want this spawn to be empty, and obviously you want this spawn to be empty. Nice third room here. Picking up the bottle rocket first. There's no harm in that. Technically, yeah, you want to wait for Bubble Monkey to be as close as possible to you. Because if you use it while Bubble Monkey is really far away, he will very slowly fly up towards the top there.
It's one of those rooms you're doing PB runs and you're on great pace, and that room will just never despawn, just destroys you.
Yeah, it seems like it. Third room always seems like it's just more straightforward than the second room, right? But it can just every single one, like that first spawn there, that where you have to walk in and out of the door. That's 2.5 seconds each time you have to do those door transitions, and it just can add up so quickly.
Door transition's one of those things like you probably wouldn't notice until you do a lot more runs. It's like, wow, these things eat up a ton of time.
Yeah, and depending on whether or not it changes the music. So, like in Tucson, in that first cave of walking towards where the pencil eraser is, if the music changes in between, it adds extra time for those door transitions. So every single time you have to despawn a room and the music changes each time, that's an extra. It's 2.5 seconds per transition as opposed to 1.25 seconds. So it doubles the time taken.
Wonder if we'll see some tank glitching.
Potentially, Des looks like they're setting up to just maybe walk into 3K though.
Yeah. The run carries on.
Yeah, just waiting there for the mock pizza man.
All glitchless practice.
Dude, Des has been doing a lot of glitchless for a bit now. Manip, non-manip. Doesn't pick your flavor. She's doing it. Oh, actually, I think Patron is right. Specifically, she wanted to see this guy Kool-Aid Man into the tent.
Yeah.
Flyeaglesfly here, just on the Skyrunner cutscene. This is what they have left right before Boogey Tent.
Yeah, home stretch.
Yeah, home stretch here.
How did he get in?
I love the mock pizza guy. His mustache is incredible.
Yeah, it's a mustache.
That's a hell of a mustache.
The hat, man. Yeah, he's big styling.
I also love how the idea here is that he you are Ness, but the way that this dialogue plays out is that he gets fed up and decides that I don't want to do this delivery anymore, so I'm gonna pick a random person and then deliver it.
Worked out.
It did work out, but he could have delivered it to that little boy in the baseball cap outside.
It's destiny.
I love the people in this game who don't care about doing their job.
Oh, it happens all the time, yeah.
Escargot neglected class. That guy, he's like, I was supposed to deliver something to you, but I dropped it in the desert, so you go get it because you want it so much, you dumb piece. Like, okay, jeez.
It's your thing, right? You go get it.
Your thing's not my thing. I don't give a crap about that. You go get it.
Right, Eagles.
Hunter brings up a good point. He Kool-Aid Mans through the tent to just give it to a random person. All right, we're gonna see probably picking up the bear. I imagine. Oh, we're gonna use a skip sandwich.
Yes.
I have to say this skip sandwich Boogey percent tech is pretty much a temple special.
Yeah, I appreciate the recognition on that one.
Because there was no other runner doing this, and then Temple started doing it, and we are like, hey, why don't we pick up the skip sandwich and Boogey percent? That's a good idea that Temple had.
It's definitely one of those things people were like, dude, why are you doing that? And all of a sudden people came around on it.
Yeah. to 57. BBR. A little bit low, so we're gonna have to hope that this single bottle rocket hits. It has a chance to miss.
Fire for Eagles.
Yeah, no fire. And Jeff getting solidified there on that turn. Just unfortunate. These Rockins, though, coming in very nicely. The high enough rockin' roll here. And that should do it, yeah.
GG.
Nice stuff. Able to finish there. Probably going to be like a mid 119, something in that range. Very nice stuff to both runners.
That sub 120 first round.
Yeah, I think anything sub 120, you got to be happy with. I mean, or at least, content enough. Obviously, the luck didn't necessarily go Flyeaglesfly way this time. That death to strong, especially, was unfortunate.
It's backbreaking. Sub 120. Very nice.
119.24 is the race time GG official time here.
Official timing. Let's
GG
see.
to both runners.
Yes, excellent races all around. GG's to everyone. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we got the doubleheader tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna have Sarah versus Jimothy, Lord Taco versus Crimson. So definitely come check that one out.
Yeah, this whole week is jam-packed with Boogey percent races.
Yeah, we're just getting started, first round. So plenty of races to come. We are we'll raid Slug. Slug was helping me out with comms earlier. She is doing some PK Scramble, the weekly, so unfortunately I'm gonna have to bounce immediately because I gotta do that tomorrow.
Yeah, I did it so I can hang around.
Nice. Yeah, let's so everyone hang out with Daniel. Watch Slug do the weekly. Thanks for hanging, everyone. Thanks for comms, Daniel. Much appreciated. Always a pleasure having you.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done comms together. I've been a little MIA, but I'm back now.
Hey, glad to have you back. And yeah, appreciate everybody hanging out. Everybody, let's go hang out with Slug, and we'll see y'all tomorrow night.
Bye.